Have you ever woken up after a full night's sleep and still felt completely drained, like you've been running a whole marathon in your mind? Now, if you have felt that way, you're not alone. And here's the truth, it's not always because you're doing too much. It's often because your energy is leaking in places you don't even notice. Every day, you're making hundreds of micro decisions, managing constant noise, switching between roles, solving problems, and holding emotions that never get processed. And while your conscious mind is busy trying to keep up, your nervous system is running background apps that drain you, slowly but steadily. By the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly where your energy goes, how neuroscience explains this, and how behavioral psychology keeps those leaks running. And I'm also going to tell you 3 ways to stop losing yourself daily without having to slow down your goals or compromise on your ambition. Hi, I'm Arina Papa, founder of the AP Method, and if you're ready to do life, love, and success in a way that actually gets you results, then this video and this channel are for you. Now, let's talk about energy, not the kind that you get from coffee or from your sleep, but the deeper kind that determines how you show up in your life. Neuroscientists now call this cognitive energy, and it's one of the most limited resources you have. Every thought, every choice, every emotional reaction burns glucose and oxygen in the brain. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus, empathy, and decision making, it consumes more energy per gram than any other organ in your body. Now, the brain is efficient, but it's not infinite. Once that fuel runs low, the system starts cutting corners. You might notice it as irritability, mental fog, overthinking, or that feeling that no amount of rest is ever enough. Now, that's not laziness, that's neurological fatigue. And studies from Stanford and McGill University show that mental fatigue mimics physical exhaustion because the same neurotransmitters involved in muscle performance, like dopamine and norepinephrine, they also regulate cognitive control. In other words, when you're mentally drained, your brain is literally telling your body, we're done. And here's the problem. Most of us don't recharge properly. We think energy is only spent through physical effort, but the truth is, energy leaks through misalignment. Every time you say yes when your gut says no, every time you hold tension instead of releasing it, every time you replay an argument or scroll through your phone even when it's not bringing you joy, you are burning emotional energy without any benefit or renewal. And it's basically like leaving all the lights on in your house, even after you've gone to bed. You might not see the waste immediately, but over time, that bill always arrives. Neuroscience has a term for one of these drains, and it's attentional residue. A study from the University of Minnesota found that when you switch tasks, even mentally, a portion of your attention remains stuck on the previous task. So when you jump between emails, messages, meetings, and mental chatter, your brain never fully transitions. It's like trying to stream a movie with 10 tabs open. The quality drops because your bandwidth is simply fragmented. Your brain isn't designed to multitask. It's designed to toggle, to focus deeply on one thing, rest, and then move to the next. But when you live in a state of constant partial focus, your neural networks never get to complete a cycle. And the result, it's low-grade chronic exhaustion, the kind that makes everything feel a lot heavier than it ever should. So think of your mind as a power grid again. Some lights are meant to be on all the time, things like creativity, focus, purpose, but hidden wires are siphoning current away through micro leaks. Now let's look at where this happens. The first leak is mental clutter, the endless loops of unfinished thoughts. When you don't close mental tabs, you drain glucose with every unmade decision. Psychologist Roy Baumeister coined the term decision fatigue. He found that willpower functions like a muscle. Every choice you make throughout the day depletes your ability to make the next one and to make it effectively. That's why CEOs wear the same outfit daily, why athletes rely on routine. It's not about simplicity as much as it's about conserving neural energy for what actually matters. Now, behavioral psychology supports this. Habits protect the brain from fatigue. Dr. Wendy Wood at the University of Southern California found that nearly 43% of what we do each day is habitual. That means almost half of our life runs on autopilot, and those automated loops either preserve energy or they drain it. Now, habits are energy shortcuts, but when those shortcuts are misaligned, they become leaks. So the question isn't just what am I doing? It's what am I doing automatically that's actually exhausting me. The second leak is emotional holding. When you suppress emotion instead of processing it, your amygdala keeps the alert running. Research from the University of Texas showed that people who suppress emotions have increased sympathetic activity, meaning the body stays in mild fight or flight. You might look calm, but internally your system is burning energy like a car idling in traffic. Behavioral science explains this as avoidance conditioning. Each time you avoid feeling something uncomfortable, something like stress or sadness or anger, your brain learns that avoidance equals relief. So it starts repeating the pattern automatically. The relief becomes the reward. Now, over time, the nervous system stops trusting calm unless chaos comes first. This is why self-awareness work matters. It breaks that loop and retrains the brain to associate peace with safety again. And the third leak is digital overstimulation. Every ping, notification, and scroll triggers a mini dopamine spike. That sounds harmless, but over time, it desensitizes your reward system. You start needing more stimulation for the same level of satisfaction. That's why rest feels impossible. Your brain doesn't recognize silence as safe anymore. From a behavioral perspective, this is what psychologist BJ Fogg calls cue stacking. Your phone becomes the cue, your scroll becomes the habit, and the brief distraction becomes the reward. It's not moral weakness, it's literally design. The habit loop completes itself before you've even made a conscious decision. So your brain learns stimulation equals survival. The fourth leak is social misalignment. Energy expands or contracts based on who you're around. The nervous system is social. Through mirror neurons, you unconsciously sync with the emotions of others. If you spend hours around negativity, gossip, or tension, your body literally mirrors that stress response. You walk away wondering, why do you feel drained? It's not in your head, it's literally in your biology. And behaviorally, we also adapt to our social environment through what James Clear calls identity reinforcement. We take on the habits of the groups we belong to because our brains equate belonging with safety. So if the people around you are always stressed, rushing, or burnt out, or unmotivated, your nervous system matches that rhythm. So to protect your energy, you often need to shift not just what you do, but who you do it with and around. And the fifth leak, the most subtle one, is identity tension. This is the energy you lose pretending to be someone you're really not. Things like masking, overperforming, or trying to fit expectations that don't belong to you. These all fragment your sense of self. And neuroscience calls it self-incongruence. Your default mode network, which handles self-reflection and narrative identity, uses enormous energy to maintain a version of you that's not authentic. The further you drift from who you really are, the more energy you burn just existing. Now, I know this one personally after years in a high-performance environment. I learned how to look energized even when my body was running on fumes. I could motivate, lead, deliver, and smile, but I couldn't feel present. It was only after my own burnout that I realized I wasn't tired because I was doing too much. I was tired because I was constantly being someone I wasn't and trying to put up this front. The moment I started living with alignment, saying no, simplifying, moving from proving to just being, my energy didn't just return, it literally multiplied, because your true self doesn't actually drain you, but pretending really does. Now, let's go a bit deeper into the neuroscience of this. When you live out of alignment, your brain's prediction system goes into overdrive. The anterior cingulate cortex is constantly checking whether your actions match your values and expectations. When they don't, it flags a mismatch. This is called prediction error. Every mismatch costs energy. That's why living against your values feels really difficult and heavy, and it's literally creating tension in your brain's circuits. This is why the core values workbook matters so much. Clarity isn't just psychological, it's literally biological. When you know what's important, your brain stops wasting energy on everything else that isn't. And here's where behavior becomes your medicine. Neuroscience shows that insight alone is not enough. Awareness must be paired with repetition. The brain rewires through behavior. James Clear calls it identity-based habits. Every small choice you repeat is a vote for the person you're becoming. So, if you keep acting like someone who honors their energy, even in tiny ways, your brain starts believing you are that person. Behavior changes biology through consistency, not intensity. Now, let's bridge this to performance. When energy leaks, your body compensates through adrenaline, a temporary fuel that gives you a hit of focus and productivity, but is like burning kindling instead of logs. You get a short-term rush and long-term depletion. The more you rely on stress hormones for motivation, the less access you have to creative flow and intuition. And a 2021 paper in Nature Neuroscience found that chronic adrenaline release narrows neurofiring patterns, meaning your brain literally loses flexibility. You become efficient, but not creative, productive, and certainly not fulfilled. So if you've ever felt like you're operating at 80% no matter how much you rest or plan, chances are it's not a time management issue, it's an energy management issue. Now let's move into the tools. These are 3 simple but powerful ways to start plugging those leaks today. Tool number 1, the daily energy audit. Set 3 times a day, morning, midday, and evening, to ask yourself, what's giving me energy right now? What's draining it? Track this for a week. Patterns will emerge. Maybe you'll notice that you're most drained after meetings where you don't really speak up, or after checking your phone first thing in the morning. Now, this exercise builds self-awareness of input versus output. And a 2019 Yale study on emotional regulation found that awareness alone reduces fatigue because it activates the insula, the brain region responsible for interoception, or understanding internal states. When you name your drain, you start reclaiming your energy. Tool number 2, the 3% rule. Don't overhaul your life overnight. Just redirect 3% of your daily energy towards alignment. That might mean saying no once, eating lunch away from screens, or turning your phone on airplane mode for 20 minutes. 3% daily equals a full workday of reclaimed energy over every month. And over a year, that's 12 full days of renewed clarity. Energy compounds like interest. Small, consistent deposits matter more than occasional overhauls. And BJ Fogg's work showed that success doesn't come from motivation. It comes from celebrating the small wins. So when you make even a micro change that supports you, pause and acknowledge it. That's how you reprogram the brain to see alignment as rewarding, not as effortful. Tool number 3 is the focus reset. Neuroscience shows that the brain cycles through 90-minute ultradian rhythms. After 90 minutes of intense work, dopamine and norepinephrine, they dip. That's when fatigue sets in, not because you're unmotivated, but because your brain needs oxygen and glucose replenishment. So, every 90 minutes, stand up, breathe deeply, and do something grounding. A Stanford study found that even a 2-minute visual reset, like looking at nature or even out a window, improves cognitive recovery by 40%. You don't need a full day off to recharge. You just need to respect your biology. Now, let's talk about the emotional side to all of this. Energy doesn't just drain from work. It actually leaks through resistance. When you resist reality, when you wish things were different or fight the way you feel, you double the load. Carl Jung said, what you resist not only persists, it actually grows. And neuroscience backs this up. Suppression activates the same regions as threat response. Acceptance, on the other hand, activates the medial prefrontal cortex, the center of emotional regulation. So acceptance isn't passive, it's very efficient. It stops you from fighting yourself. Now, if you want to take this deeper, reflect on this question tonight. What part of my life feels heavy because I'm avoiding the truth? And remember, honesty doesn't drain you, but pretense and avoidance does. And when you stop leaking energy, you stop mistaking exhaustion for identity. You start realizing that you're not broken, there's nothing wrong with you, but you are overdue for recalibration. The people who achieve sustainably aren't the ones with endless motivation. They're the ones who know how to protect their energy like it's currency, because well, it really is. And before we close, make sure you download your free core values workbook in the description. It will help you define what truly matters so you can direct your energy towards alignment and not depletion. And don't forget, if this video resonates, take a second to like, comment, and subscribe. And last but not least, don't forget the free 5-day online workshop starts this January. It's where we'll map your strategy for 2026, identify your hidden leaks, and design a plan that works with your biology and not against it. Because you don't technically need to slow down to recover. You just need to stop losing energy on the wrong things. We plug the leaks, reclaim your focus, and when your brain and body work with you, everything flows differently. And you are here to step into lasting transformation. So thank you once again for watching. Thank you for listening. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next one. Bye for now.